All right, so I just was been waiting in the mail to come, or oddly enough, it was the mail. $20 worth of shipping, and they sent it via mail, which, you know, $5 flat rate box would have handled this, but let's not get into that. But this is what I got. It was in this package, wrapped in some plastic, some kind of plastic, and then there's goo all over it. It's like a hard glaze of some sort of enamel or something. The reason why I'm replacing the old one is because of wear on this flange right here. If you can see that right there. Let me get some focus. You can see that there's some significant wear on that flange. But if you look at the original structure on that, it used to be flat. Well, the one that I got here, it looks worn. I gotta tell you, not too happy. We'll see how it cleans up. See how it's not even flat? It's kind of rounded. This looks like a remanufactured part I paid full price for at Moss Motors. Well, we'll just see how it cleans up, and I'll continue this video in a few minutes. All right, so after cleaning this up in carburetor cleaner, was what it finally took to get that goop out of there. I have come to the observation that this is not a new product. This I sold as new, but I think it's refurbished. This is the new one. This is my old one. So first of all, look at this bearing right here. This is the bearing that connects up in the engine block where the oil comes down. Or actually, no, this is the bearing that goes into the oil pump. And this flange right here, you can see on the old one, was what prompted me to want to buy a new one. Was see how that's kind of worn right there? I didn't like that wear mark. Well, this is the new one. And I'll put it under a scope here. It's worn. Those are wear marks. This is not a new bearing. Those are wear marks. The other thing that is significant is on the old one. Well, here, I'll hold the two together. On the left is the quote-unquote supposedly new one. See, the thickness on that is much thinner than the thickness on this one. And I can even measure it for you. Okay, here we go. Whoops, there's the thickness on this one. You can see there's a lot of play in that. Those are two completely different sizes. If you look at the bearing surface down here on this flat edge versus my old one, this is a clean bearing surface. There's no spalling or anything. And this one here, you can see it's pitted. It's old. The real reason, the whole purpose behind prompting, oh, here's another thing. All right, so on the gear surface itself, see if I can get this in the magnifying glass here. It looks as though there's wear on the gear on this surface, on this face of the gear, right across. I don't know if you can see that in the middle. Certainly not new. The wear on the old one, this is the old one, it's pronounced. You can see there's some shiny spots in there. But the whole reason why I wanted to buy a new spindle was that on the oil pump, when you put the spindle in here, okay, this lash, see that lash? I wanted to reduce that lashing. Well, if you were to compare that to this quote-unquote new one, Look at the lash on this thing. It's practically 20 degrees. It's easily twice what the lash is on this one. So I guess Moss is going to get a return request from me. I am not happy with A, the state that I received this in, all covered in smooge. B, that it's a used component or refurbished component when sold as new. And it doesn't meet the same engineering statistic or the measurements as this one. I mean, and it's actually, when you measure, it's very fractionally, I don't know if you can see with the naked eye, but the new one is fractionally shorter than the old one. There's a, I don't know if you can see, right there, there's a hole for oil to come through here and come out right there. And that spooge or whatever that was that's in there is clogged in there, and you can't, I've tried to clean this out already, but I still have to work on cleaning all that out. But see how it's smaller? It's smaller than the old one. Here's the old one. You can see right through it. I mean, that is, oil's going to come through that with no problems. It goes through there, comes out here, and it oils this bearing surface. So I'm going to take this one back, and we'll see if I can, I'm going to retrofit this one by putting some weld and then grinding it down so it's flat. And I'm just going to fix this one rather than ordering a new one. If this is what a new one is, it's not acceptable for me. So stay tuned for the outcome. So I just got off the phone with a friendly Haley at Moss Motors, and she says that on the invoice that came with it, it comes with a label so that you can just put this on to do a return. This label has the invoice number so they can reference it, and it has the return address and whatnot, return label. It makes it real easy for them to process the order. So off it goes. They told me that they're going to refund the price of the part and the price of the return shipping. That still sets me out $20 for the shipping that it costs to get it there, but I'm not going to spend $20 to send it there. So it'll fit in a flat rate box real easy. This thing is really small. It's the size of my thumb. So I'm able to get it off there. So this phase 3, we'll see how far it goes and how much money I get back for it. And then I don't want to roll the dice. If this is a rare component, and all I'm going to get back is refurbs, I'm not going to be happy with that. So stay tuned, and we'll see how this process pans out. All right, so I don't want this video to turn into just a bitch session, so I want to kind of end this in a positive thread. So what I wanted to do real quick here, just to kind of close up, is discuss parts sourcing. Where to get your parts for your car, different places. There's a couple of obvious ones. There's a couple that you may not know about, and some things that I just want to share with the community as a whole. So Moss Motors, I have the site up right here. Moss Motors is the kind of the standard. That's where I bought this part that ultimately didn't work out. But they have parts for all of your British sports cars, and primarily I'm just in here looking for the MGB parts. They have a really good search. What I do a lot for MGB part is let's say I'm looking for an oil pump spindle. Like in this case, I was looking for a spindle. So what I'll do is I'll put an oil pump in here, look for under MGB, and do a quick search, and I'll pull up the oil pump. I'm looking for the spindle, but if you pull up the oil pump, you'll see the where used section, and they'll give you a link to a schematic, and these schematics are really helpful because they will give you a breakout of all the parts associated with that component and its major subcomponents. Right, so here's the oil pump over here. What I was trying to get here was a spindle. Number 73 is listed as a spindle, and you come down here. Down on to number 73. Still going. There we go. So here's your spindle, right? This part number is the Moss Motors part number. Take this part number right here. I'll put that in my clipboard buffer. But look, here's the part. Jeez, look at that. Even this looks a little rusty and kind of in a weird shape. But this has a bigger hole. This is not the same component that they sold me. This doesn't have any wear on the gears. It looks like it's in a lot better shape. See how the edges here are nice and square. This is what I thought I was buying, and it turned out not to be what I ended up getting. So they're really good about it. You know, return it. They're very helpful. Here's another little thing that I do is I'll go in here to Moss and I'll do the research to find where it goes, and then I'll shop it. The next thing I go to after Moss is Abingdon Spares. And if you put that part number right in here, it'll come back. The spindle is no longer available, here, let me find some other part. Oil pump. And I'll grab this part number right here. Go over here, drop it in there. There's your oil pump. Abingdon has it for $65. Now, the thing about the difference between Abingdon and Moss is Abingdon has a little less stock in some of the more unique or oddball parts, but I've been really happy with Abingdon. They have majority of the parts I'm looking for. They have a very helpful staff that will communicate with you via email, via phone. Some of the pre-sales support might be a little off, but you know they're selling parts. They're not building cars, so just something to look at. It's an option. You don't have to always go with one or the other. Another site that I've used is this one right here, British Parts Northwest. Funny story. I bought some parts from these guys during around Halloween, and when the parts got there, they had Halloween candy in the box, so I thought that was kind of neat. But again, you can see the same part numbers work here. The Moss part numbers work on British Parts Northwest. They have less of a supply than Abingdon. I would look at these guys as a third source. Similar pricing, maybe just a little less. $69.65. It's a little more price on this one. But you know, if you have options, shop it, right? Here's another one that my wife stumbled across. She was looking for some really oddball parts and came across this site. These guys are in like Tennessee somewhere. And they just come across oddball overstock and buy them cheap. And so they have kind of a little more eclectic selection. The part numbers don't match up, but if you come in here under MGB, you can see within the groups you can find parts, engine, bottom end. Then you have to kind of scroll through. Here's your oil pump, $95, and you have to back order it. So these, some of these they don't have everything in this, but they have some stuff that that you can find that you won't be able to find elsewhere. So it's odds and ends over here. You can find some nifty stuff. We used these guys a couple times for internal dash components and things like that. Last resort, I would go to eBay. eBay has some stores that sell stuff. I bought the grill for our bumper conversion from 77. We're putting a chrome bumper on it. There was an eBay site that had a company that used to make the MGB grills, and they discontinued them, and they had some old stock on the shelves. They were out of California, and I bought their very last grill. It was a really good bargain basement deal. But eBay is one of those things where, buyer beware. You're going to get some used parts, things that are as removed. But there's stuff in here that if you're looking for something that you can't find commercially, you might be able to find it used or as removed that you can clean it up. So that's my take on part sourcing. Start with moss as the kind of the Macy's Santa, and then go to Gimbals over here with Abingdon Spares, and then shop around. There's a couple of different places that you can find some parts with British Parts Northwest and Sports Car Parts Limited. And last but not least, you can search for people who had extra parts during a teardown, and they have a parts car that they're tearing down and they need to liquidate. You can find that stuff on eBay. So I hope this was helpful. Parts are not always a good story when you get them. It's always happy. I feel like Christmas time when I get a box of parts for the next weekend. But if your parts don't work out, it's kind of a letdown that you can't complete the tasks that you need to get done. But hopefully, hope this helps out those of you who are having parts problems trying to source parts. So there you go.